Dr. Sam Osmanagich is an internationally recognized expert on pyramids and the discoverer of the Bosnian pyramid. He's traveled the world researching pyramids and ancient artifacts that date back thousands and even millions of years. He's found evidence of ancient aliens in many archaeological sites that point to humanoid, insectoid, and reptilian species and long forgotten interspecies battles for supremacy over the Earth's surface.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, welcome, Dr. Osmanagich, to the Exopolitics Today.
Hello, Dr. Salla. I'm very glad to see you again. We've met several times in the past, and after a pause, finally, we meet again.
Well, I know you've done incredible research on pyramids, so there's probably many in my audience that don't know about you. So why don't you just give us a little bit of a background about your research in archaeology and your Ph.D. and what you did to become that expert that you are today on pyramids.
Gladly. For more than 4 decades, I have been researching pyramids and megalithic sites around the world. My PhD is about the Mayan pyramids. I've researched the civilization extensively in the jungles of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. And then I have expanded my research to the pyramids in Peru, Bolivia, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Australia, the island of Mauritius, Canary Islands, Nubian pyramids in northern Sudan, 155 pyramids in Egypt, not 118 as a non-scientific Wikipedia or Encyclopedia Britannica claim. Pyramids on European soil, 3 pyramids in Palencia in Spain, 16 in ancient Greek, then of course Bosnian pyramids. So armed with the knowledge about the pyramids, back in 2005, I first came to the Bosnian town of Visoko. Well, I must say that I used to live in former Yugoslavia, today's Bosnia, in the city of Sarajevo, before wars in the Balkan region in the 1990s. But I never went to this town of Visoko. I went there to see the local museum. I got there, I saw this hill, perfectly shaped, 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, 4 corners, perfectly oriented to the cardinal points. And even though it was covered by soil vegetation, I immediately knew that it was actually an artificial structure which got covered by soil and vegetation after thousands of years. The same scenario like in China, Mexico, Indonesia, Guatemala, or Honduras. And this has become my major project in the last 18 years. I'm the author of 20 books now about the ancient civilizations, and they've been translated into 17 languages. I'm a member of several Academy of Sciences in Croatia, Bosnia, Russia, member of the famous Archaeological Society of Alexandria in Egypt, and so on. And during my work, like you said, I've been finding very intriguing artifacts and becoming aware that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids.
Well, let's begin with some slides that you sent me which illustrate what you just said. And you mentioned your work on the Mayan pyramids. So there's a site, El Mirador, and you sent me the slides for that. So we're just going to bring up those slides. So why don't you tell us about these slides, about what that reveals in terms of the discovery of ancient pyramids under vegetation that has grown over it for centuries.
Gladly. My research in the Mayan world has shown that actually the Maya civilization built more than 100,000 pyramids, and 97% of them are still in the jungles, covered by forests and vegetation. What we are looking now is the newly discovered Maya city in northern Guatemala in the department of Petén called El Mirador. We don't know really what was its original name. We don't know even the name for the Maya civilization. We don't know how they call themselves. What do we know about the civilization based on 3% of their cities, temples, pyramids, bridges, palaces, platforms, and so on? So, in this particular case, this pyramid, this is the biggest pyramid in El Mirador. It is 72 meters high. Imagine 72 meters, it is 250 feet. When you look at it from the base, it looks like that the builders wanted to reach the sky. If clear, then it should look like this on this slide. So, majority of the Maya artifacts, work of art, and their writing in codexes are long gone, especially during the 16th century when Diego de Landa, he was archbishop from Spain, he was destroying systematically all their writings. Whatever they did not understand, they would destroy it, unfortunately. But based on four codexes that we know today, we have Dresden Codex in Paris and one in Madrid and Grolier, which is now in Mexico, and most probably two more in New York and Prague. We realize that their writing was so complex. They had symbols. What we have, it's much more simpler. It is, alphabet, we have letters, A, B, C. Letters don't mean nothing, but symbols, they have a meaning. Every symbol has the meaning. It's very complicated to translate, to decipher those texts. And out of 800 symbols, we have deciphered less than 25%, just 200 of them. So it seems that we're going to never decipher all their symbols because they show figures and faces that obviously do not originate from our planet. And we're going to see that a little bit later. Then the numbers. Numbers were also amazing. We use 10 digits in our system. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. With those 10 numbers, we can express any number, thousands, millions, billions. But the Maya civilizations were even more advanced. They had only two symbols. The first one is dot. Dot is number 1. 4 dots, number 4. Number 5, they would express with the bar, with the line. 1 line, 5. 3 lines, 15. 4 dots, 3 lines, 4 plus 15 is 19. The first row, they would show numbers from 1 to 20. The second row, which goes up from 20 to 400. So they use base of 20. Today they use base of 10. The third row, 400 to 8,000. The fourth row, 8,000 to 160,000. The fifth row, 160,000 to 3,200,000. So the fifth row, they arrive to millions. In our case, we need 7 digits, 1 and 6 zeros to express millions. So it was amazing. And what we know on their stelas, stone megaliths, there were carvings, numbers, and symbols. When it comes to numbers, we know that they use base. As a base, they use days, and they would be describing different events. And we're going to be talking about that also. My opinion about the Maya civilization. Even though Encyclopedia Britannica had an idea during 1980s, 90s, 2000s that they were Neolithic culture, having only stone tools, warlike, fighting all the time, sacrificing the enemies. Wrong, 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 and wrong. The Maya civilization is one of the most sophisticated and advanced civilization on the face of the planet ever. Period. Astronomy, architecture, construction, mathematics, calendars, art, agriculture, amazing.
Well, you discovered something in Bosnia that was kind of reminiscent of what you had seen in the Mayan jungles. And so, what was it about this Bosnian pyramid that stood out? Were there local legends in Bosnia about that, something there, or was it just topographical features?
No, in 2005, when I first came to town of Visoko, which is just half an hour from the capital city of Sarajevo, what I could see was everybody called it hill because it was covered by vegetation and forest was planted back in 1960s and 1970s, and people didn't know they were actually planting the trees on the top of the artificial structure. There was about 3-4 feet of soil of the pyramid. The same scenario like in the case of Chinese or Mexican pyramids. But I was looking at the shape, geometry, 4 sides, 4 triangle faces. I took compass. Compass showed me that those sides perfectly match cardinal points, east, west, north, south. And this is how the pyramids were built. This is the same thing I measured in the case of Chinese or Indonesian pyramids or Guatemala. All the pyramids that are covered by soil. So, people have been programmed to think pyramid equal Egypt equal desert equal Pharaoh equal tomb. Well, let's forget that. Pyramids are structures, 4-sided geometrical pyramid, and they come with a certain common feature. Now we are looking at the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun from the air, drone. We can clearly see in front of us, first side, that's a northern face. You see the length of the sides, left and the right, is exactly the same. To the left, there's another triangular face, to the right and at the back, we can see it from here, 2 more triangular faces. So 4 triangular faces. And Mother Nature does not make hills with 4 triangular faces and perfect orientation. What does that mean, perfect orientation? We know that the Egyptian pyramids perfectly oriented to the cosmic north. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, or as they wrongly called it, the Khufu Pyramid or Cheops Pyramid, has an error of 0 degrees and 3 minutes to the perfect north. That's genius. The structure, which is 231 meters long, to orient it with such precision, they were excellent builders. The second largest Khafre, 0 degrees and 3 minutes. Mykarinos, 0 degrees, 18 minutes. Bent Pyramid in Dahshur, 0 degrees, 12 minutes. Beautiful Red Pyramid in Dahshur, 0 degrees, 5 minutes. So that's a perfect orientation. The same scenario for Chinese, Indonesia, Cahokia pyramids in the state of Illinois in the US and so on. But the northern face of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun has an error of 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. We started excavation, and 1 meter, 3 to 4 feet below the soil, we are discovering blocks, rectangular, square. We have analyzed them at 7 institutes for materials in Italy, France, Czechoslovakia, Bosnia. They all told us it was an artificially made concrete. So what we show here, bottom left, is the pyramid as it looks like today, green pyramid because of the greenery. And if we just replace the green color with the color of concrete, gray, brown, this is exactly how the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun looked like at one point in the time. From this visible geometrical shape, from the base to the top, is 220 meters. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, 146.6 meters. So this is the biggest pyramid on the planet, the best orientation on the planet. The quality of concrete, much better than the quality of concrete that we can make today. Today, 10 to 60 megapascals, Bosnian pyramid concrete up to 155 megapascals. The next one is the age. Well, in the last 18 years, this project has become the most active archaeological site in the world. Every year I have hundreds of volunteers, our workers, our employees, experts from different fields. We have discovered 6 pyramids: Sun, Moon, Dragon, Earth, Love, and the sixth pyramid. 7 entrances to underground tunnels. So far, we cleared 3.2 kilometers, or more than 1.5 miles. And we discovered a tumulus. Tumulus in archaeology is an artificial conical hill. It's a huge complex above and below the ground. So far, we discovered entrances to 2 different layers or levels of those tunnels. Now, we are coming to the age. We have done more than 28 radiocarbon dating, uranium-thorium analysis, and lately we took samples for the luminescence analysis. This is what the science, offer today when it comes to dating. Between the layers of concrete, first and second layer, like in the sandwich, we have discovered fossilized leaves. How did they get there? Well, while they were pouring the concrete, first, second, third, fourth layer, and then before the last layer, the wind was blowing, bringing those leaves, and then they placed the final layer. But those leaves are organic material. We can date them. This is what we did in the radiocarbon lab, and the age of the leaves, 29,200 years, plus minus 400 years. So we go back for 30,000 years. And this is not all. This is radiocarbon date. In order to get the calibrated date, we add approximately 14%. Dr. Paul Laviolette actually did that. And the real age, the true age of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is 33,600 years. When you talk to the mainstream archaeologists, historians, geologists, anthropologists, what was happening 30, 40,000 years ago, they would say nothing. It seems that they don't read about the sensational discoveries all around the world. When it comes to Egypt, for me, the major artifact, maybe the most important, is not even in Egypt itself, but in the Egyptian Museum in Turin, Italy. It is called the Turin King List. Dr. Sala, you are probably aware of this document. When you enter the Egyptian Museum in Turin, to your left is a huge wooden box covered in glass, and you can see the papyrus, which is 1.7 meters long, 45 centimeters high, and 11 columns with the hieroglyphic writings, and they list all the Egyptian rulers. We have 3 phases. The last phase started 5,100 years ago with the King Menes uniting Upper and Lower Egypt, and then you have Egyptian rulers, the pharaohs as we call them, and they call themselves sons of gods, showing direct link with the gods. And we'll come to the gods. So, sons of gods, they would rule 10 years, 20 years, or if they got lucky, like Ramesses II, 67 years. The second phase, the phase before the last one, is the phase of demigods and spiritual kings. And they would rule in average 200 years or 300 years. And the phase before this one, the first phase, is the era of gods. And they would rule Egypt for 1,000 years each in average. On this particular papyrus, it is said that gods descended from kingdom of heaven, kingdom of sky, to the kingdom of earth, and started ruling. And indeed, if you have the same ruler for 1,000 years, in the eyes of the ordinary people, Homo sapiens, you got the same ruler during your lifetime, during your son's lifetime, during your grandson's, during your grand-grand-grandson, and of course there are gods for them, and especially if they have certain gadgets they could use, high-tech devices that ordinary humans did not have. So, The first gods came to Egypt 42,700 years ago, and I believe major Egyptian pyramids, 28 of them, I mentioned 5 or 6 of them, but all others built from the limestone and granite were actually built in the period between 30 and 40,000 years. Only the pyramids during the 12th and the 19th dynasties were built from the mud bricks, which is inferior material, and it was happening 4,000 or 3,300 years back. And the bedtime stories about 100,000 slaves, we should forget, because people in the future will be laughing at us, what we believe and what our Egyptologists, historians, and professors of history were teaching us.
Well, with the age of the pyramids that you've done tests and you've come up with that 30,000 to 33,000 year time frame, and that that these were built in that area, Egypt and Bosnia. Now, the gods, are we talking ancient aliens? Are we talking essentially extraterrestrials? Because it seemed that the pyramids had a function, a particular function. So why did the gods or the progenitors of humanity, the creators, build these pyramids? What was the purpose of them?
In archaeology, we have 5 questions. The first question is what? What is this? So, in case of Bosnia, Egypt, China, Mexico, these are pyramid complexes. The second question is who? We don't really know who built the Egyptian pyramids. We don't have a single proof for that. I mean, we can see structures from the outside, but no writings, no carvings, nothing inside. We have those passageways, we have 3 chambers so far, one discovered as a hollow space, but on the walls we don't have paintings, we don't have hieroglyphic writings, we don't have symbols, we don't have royal furniture, we don't have organic materials, we don't have tools, not a single proof who. So that question is still open. So right now, when I compare what was happening 3,000, 4,000 or 4,500 years ago, is it possible that if really Pharaoh Khufu of the 4th dynasty built such a huge structure, the biggest on the planet, that they did not mention it once in their papyri, on the walls, nothing? They were built much, much, much before. The third question is, of course, when? Like I said, I know that the Egyptian pyramids are much older than 12,000 years, the age of the end of the last ice age. How do we know that? Because the whole plateau at Giza was covered in seashells, and after years and years of cleaning, now they removed all the seashells. But when El Hamnan, when they were opening 1,200 years ago, in violent way, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, they found traces of salt and the seashells in the pyramid, meaning the pyramid was there during the flood waves 12,000 years back. So this is the age. The next thing, how? How did they do it? I mean, when you see 6 million tons of blocks to build the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or 20 million tons to build the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, or millions of tons to build structures in El Mirador, Palenque, Copan, Tikal, Chichen Itza, Uxmal, Koba, Cozumel, and so on and so forth. Or the biggest pyramid in Mexico is Cholula in Pueblo, the state of Puebla. That one is in surface bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Even the biggest pyramid in Cahokia National Park in southwestern state, corner state of Illinois, among 120 remaining Cahokia pyramids, which they called Cahokia Mounds, but they're actually 4-sided statue pyramid. The biggest one, that they called Monk's Mound, has a surface 11% bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. The question is how? How they were able to maneuver with such a huge quantity of material. And again, in Egypt, besides the limestone, of course, we know about 4 quarries near Cairo, but how about granite? Bringing from Aswan, 869 kilometers, 500 miles. The largest one in the Great Pyramid, 80 tons. The largest one in Khafre, second largest pyramid, is 220 tons. Mystery. And the fifth question, of course, the most important, why? And this is what you asked. Why would they build such huge structures? Unfortunately, the pyramid business is jealously guarded by archaeologists and Egyptologists in Egypt, Mexico, Peru, China, and other countries. The moment they open their projects for interdisciplinary scientific research, they will find out what was the purpose. And our project, the Bosnian Pyramid Project, is the only one in the world which is multidisciplinary scientific project where we apply classical sciences, archaeology, geology, paleontology, and so on, Egyptology, plus high-tech sciences, geothermal analysis, we have satellite analysis, georadar analysis, plus 3 types of dating methods, which I mentioned earlier, and experts in energy phenomena. And I'm glad that you have this picture now. So we've been using the knowledge and skills and scientific instruments from physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors. And this is what we have proven, Michael. On the very top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have measured the existence of energy beam, which is 28 kilohertz in frequency, electrical in nature, 13 feet diameter at the top, and then as it goes up, it goes to 70 feet, coming back to 13, 70, 13, 70, 13, and as you measure from the ground higher and higher, the strength of the signal is getting stronger and stronger. This phenomenon is called scalar waves. The genius mind of Nikola Tesla 125 years ago was investigating scalar waves, those subtle energies. In the last 50 years, the Russian physicists have been doing that. And their conclusion is that the scalar waves move quicker than the speed of light. Or to be more precise, the information within the scalar fields move much quicker than the speed of light. Of course, Albert Einstein got a hypothesis 100 years back that the speed of light is the biggest speed in the universe, and if you try to move quicker than the speed of light, you are going to dematerialize. However, this speed is for the universe very, very slow. Good for our planet, 1 second, the speed of light goes around it 7.5 times. When you send it to the sun, you need 8 minutes for the light to get to the sun. Northern star, 700 years. Center of our galaxy, Milky Way, 30,000 years. And center of the universe, where the old guy in the white robe and the white beard is sitting, being very busy, creating galaxies and different forms of life, it takes 5 billion years. So the speed of light is actually rather slow. And it seems that according to the calculations of those people, Tesla and Russian physicists, the speed of scalar waves is 100 million times bigger than the speed of light. So the information moves instantly from one end of the galaxy to another one. So our conclusion for the first purpose of pyramids is that there are communication devices. Now, the next question for us was, where is this energy being directed from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun? Of course, we have proven that we have it because we have a team from Croatia. Then, 3 months later, a team from Serbia, led by engineer Goran Marjanovic, with their instruments, oscilloscopes, spectrometer, and so on. Then, from Finland, Heikki Savolainen, he was sound engineer. From Italy, Professor De Bertolis. From Germany, Professor Konstantin Meil, and so on. So we have proven it's there. But does it shoot to certain star systems? Well, we measure it in the morning, and this energy beam is a little bit moved to the east. The noontime, south, afternoon, southwest, evening, west. And that's exactly the path of our sun. Does it mean that our planet is communicating with our sun? It is possible. And maybe using the sun as a cosmic gate to communicate with some other star systems. It is possible. And with some other galaxies. It is possible also, technically speaking. But the pyramids not only emit the energy, emit the information, they act as the antennas. They receive the information. So information goes two ways. Communication device. But then it raises another question. If our planet is point A, it has to be point B, and point C, and point D, and this way we come to something that I would call the cosmic internet. So the first purpose of the pyramid energy is the communication device, and we are the first archaeological project proving existence of this energy beam. Well, in the meantime, after 15 years of the work on the Bosnian pyramids, I've been checking some other pyramids, and it seems that there are some other energetically active pyramids. The measurements Khafre, the measurements on Red Pyramid in Egypt, Kukulkan, before 2007, we were able to climb the top, after that, not anymore. The Moon Pyramid in Teotihuacan, and so on. And this is one of the secrets that they've been hiding from us about the true purpose of pyramids. The second one, I mentioned that there were tunnels under the Bosnian pyramids. That's not the only case. You know about the tunnels under the Giza pyramids. There are at least 4 levels, and they are not open for public. Why? Because people would very soon notice that those tunnels are much, much older than 12,000 years. So the whole story about Egyptian being descendants of the great pharaohs basically would be lost. So tunnels under Egyptian pyramids, under all Chinese pyramids, 250 of them. Some of them they did excavate, proving that they are from period 2300 until 1000 before present. But 20 biggest pyramids are 12,500 years old. So we had tunnels there, we had them in Peru, we had them in Palenque, Teotihuacan, and so on. But the Bosnian pyramid network is the most extensive on the planet. Like I said, almost 2 miles. This is what we cleared so far. And people go to Bosnian pyramid. They are open for tourists, for the public. People go inside. They breathe so well. They got outside. Those who had some respiratory problems before, let's say asthma, they breathe so well. When they come back, they don't need a pump, inhaler, no more. People with a high blood pressure, it gets normalized. People with a high sugar, glucose in the blood, it gets on normal level. People with the pains, very often they are gone. People with very serious diseases, they come to us for a week, for 10 days, getting in the tunnels, 1 hour in the morning, 1 in the evening, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. In 10 days, we can see the revolutionary improvement of their health. So, our second conclusion, the purpose of the pyramid energy was to protect what is the most precious to us, and that would be our health. And now it's becoming very logical. Instead of building those huge structures for one dead body, king or pharaoh, they were built for the living communities, with the idea to last almost forever. The third one, we have found 5 tunnels with the water. We compare the pyramid water with our city water and our bottled water. As we know, our city water does not have viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Why? Because it's been treated with the chlorine, and the chlorine is a poison. In some countries, they add fluoride, which is poison also. They said to protect our teeth, but it is until 50 years back. Exclusive use of fluoride was poison for rats. So, United Kingdom, Republic of Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, half of the US, Argentina, Chile, they use fluoride. Bad. Number 3, traces of heavy metals. The water goes through the metal pipes, melting the metals. Number 4, in our kitchens it comes through plastic pipes, melting the plastic. This is what we drink. Chlorine, fluoride, heavy metals, plastic. Of course we are getting sick. And then bottled water, if you think it's better, well, let's think twice. They used, at the beginning, city water, adding additives like aluminum directly hit to our brains, burning those brain cells, and some other additives. So, when we take Bosnian pyramid water, compare the molecular structure. This is what we did in the lab with the late Dr. Masaru Emoto from Japan 8 years back. We sent them samples from city water in Bosnia and pyramid water. City water, deformed structure or no structure at all. And pyramid water, hexagonal structure with a beautiful crystal-like structure. Just by looking at it, you can see that this is a happy water. It's a structured water. It's a water that vibrates high. And we are what we drink. The third purpose of pyramid energy, to improve the molecular structure of the water. And we still don't understand that. We need a new science, the science about the water. Number 4, food. We are what we eat. We did experiment with the seeds of beans. We put some beans in the tunnels, some beans on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, and some at home as a control group. The beans that are exposed to the pyramid energy, they would grow much quicker, richer, healthier. The pyramid energy affects DNA of every living organism. The 5th purpose of pyramid energy, immunity. You probably know for our friend Professor Konstantin Korotkov from University of St. Petersburg from Russia, 17 patents, one of them BioWell, that can measure our energy fields, auric field, bioenergy field around our body, the chakras, the stress level, energy in the cells, immunity, and so on. In the last 8 years, we have scanned 5,450 people before entering the Bosnian pyramid tunnels and after coming back. In more than 90% of the cases, we got improvement of all these features. So obviously, our work has proven that pyramids were built for much bigger purpose than to be the last place for kings or pharaohs. They were built for the living communities, and I believe one day when they open projects in Egypt and Mexico, and Peru, and China, and Mauritius, and Canary, and so on, that we gonna see the development of new science, the pyramid science, and this science will produce results that can help our society. Pyramids were built, indeed, by more advanced civilizations. And one last thing, when I see Chinese pyramids or Egyptian or Bosnian or Mexican, the oldest pyramids are at the same time the biggest, built by the superior materials, meaning there is no evolution, but the knowledge has been brought. And now the question is, by who?
This is a fascinating question. I mean, who did this and who set up this Bosnian or set up the pyramid system to be able to be used as a communication device, and that whatever information was coming through would impact people's health. So that kind of brings to mind to me the kind of the stories of the Anunnaki, that they were the creators of humanity, that they genetically altered humans. And I mean, how would an advanced civilization kind of like alter the DNA or manipulate the DNA of a species, an entire species? And it seems that something like the pyramids, that are used as a communication device, that they could do that. So you mentioned DNA and of course health. So does that? I think this is kind of fascinating because it suggests that maybe the pyramids were used by these extraterrestrials to genetically upgrade humanity at whatever time they chose to. Just as like we do an Apple software update that, like the Apple company will put out a software update that impacts all of the iPhones all around the world at the same time. Could the pyramids have been used for the same purpose, to upgrade the software or downgrade the software of humans that were genetically created or modified by the extraterrestrials?
Well, I do agree with you that humans were genetically created. If you go back for about 400,000 years, you will see that at one point the Homo sapiens simply showed from nowhere, because the species like Neanderthals were still the most developed animal species. And then all of a sudden, you got a Cro-Magnon man, a Homo sapiens sapien, who was intelligent, artistic, capable of many other things that animal world was not able to. However, when we see the Neanderthals, but also gorillas, chimpanzee, and so on, when you check their DNA, you see that they would have only 2 or 3 genetical problems, in their genes. Why? Because only the strongest species would survive. Neanderthals, only the strongest, they would have the cave, and so they would propagate, they would, find the best women and so on and so forth. And those who were ill or sick, they were not able really to continue their families. And then you have humans. One pair of chromosomes less. It does not disappear just like that overnight. But they are coming with 5,000 genetical problems. So they have predisposition when they are born to get 5,000 different illnesses, whether it be cancer or all TBC or all kind of problems. How is that possible? It seems that the genetical material from the most advanced animal species were mixed with the cosmic genetical material of the beings who were not adjusted to our planet. And that's the reason why so many genetic problems that we have even today. Is there a connection between the pyramid and those experiments that's been done? I would say that the pyramids were built primarily because of the builders and their needs, communication and the health, but I would say more than health. At the time when the pyramids were built, they were really strong energy machines. Why am I saying that? We know in our case, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, its location was so important. It's located above huge iron ore. Iron generates electromagnetic field. The pyramid amplifies this field. Below the pyramid is underground water flow. Water moves, releases beneficial negative ions. The pyramid amplifies the negative ions, which we measure. We have the highest concentration in the world, higher than the Niagara Falls. Then we have a lot of quartz crystal. Quartz crystal amplifies the energy and transforms one form of the energy, electromagnetic, to another one through the piezoelectrical effect to ultrasound. And these are all phenomena that we measure. If you can measure, you can scientifically prove. But at one point, before 12,000 years ago, our planet and planetary energies were much, much stronger. For example, ozone layer up to 12,000 years back was 5 times thicker due to the huge global catastrophes. After that, of course, we got all these problems on our planet. So when you have the amplifier that amplifies strong energy, you are getting even strong energy. And I would say that the radius of this pyramid effect pyramid energy effect was probably 100 miles or maybe even 250 miles of the Bosnian pyramids. And the same goes for Egyptian or Peruvian or Mexican or Chinese. But then, after the end of the last ice age, our mother planet has become so weak. So when you amplify the weak energy, then you're still getting the weak energy. And my idea is at the time when this energy was real strong, not only that you could use pyramids to prevent, illnesses or to help you do your therapies, but most probably do the rejuvenation and to remove all the effects of the beings who were not adjusted to, you know, uh, our planet. So right now I can speculate about that potential purpose, but pyramids for sure they have a multi-layer purpose and they have ingenious structures.
Well, you mentioned kind of like the piezoelectric effect, and so one of the theories is that the pyramids were used for setting up a global wireless transmission system for electricity. So whoever had access to, aircraft at that time during, say, Atlantis or earlier civilizations could tap into this pyramid energy that was wirelessly transmitted. And a second purpose I wanted you to comment on as well is Edgar Cayce claims that the pyramids were built or used as halls of records to preserve the ancient knowledge that was going to be needed to be protected because of coming cataclysms that were known. So yeah, can you comment on those two additional purposes?
Yeah, gladly. Of course, when it comes to the underground energy flows, there are many of them. And the ancient builders were harvesting those energies. For example, ley lines. They were rather well investigated in UK, especially in southern England, where they noticed that when you draw the straight line and connect the major megalithic sites like Stonehenge, Avebury stone circles, Glastonbury Tor, and so on, they're all laying on the same line. Plus, it includes modern churches, cathedrals, and so on. But we have to have in mind that those cathedrals and churches, they were built on the top of destroyed temples, which were built on the top of destroyed paganic structures, which were built on the top of the oldest megalithic structures. So somebody knew in the distant past that they were building those structures, the huge stone structures, on the top of the ley lines, energy lines. They are most probably of the cosmic origin, and they run usually east-west, north-south, and diagonally. In Bosnia, we have a map of the ley lines, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro. Majority of the ley lines running north-south, east-west, diagonally, they intersect exactly in the town of Visoko, where the pyramids were built. So that's one source of the energy. And most probably they could use those lines even to move through the air. Another one, volcanic lines. We are the first one in the world who actually did the research on volcanic lines. What are the volcanic lines? You connect two volcanoes, that's volcanic line. If you have pyramid or megalithic sites sitting on this line, so it means the pyramid is located on the volcanic line. We have analyzed 75 different sites, proving that they are sitting on number of intersection of volcanic lines. Why is that important? Volcano, lava, iron, minerals, energy. Again, energy. For example, the Cholula pyramid in Mexico is sitting on intersection of 16 volcanic lines. Machu Picchu in Peru, 15 volcanic lines. Great Zimbabwe, those huge megalithic conical towers in the state of Zimbabwe, sitting on 7 volcanic lines. The Bosnian pyramids, 26 volcanic lines. So people were using those energy sources below the ground. And if you think about our planet, of course, Tesla and many people before and after him, they knew that everything is the energy. Our planet is a huge energy pole. There are energy flows, two strongest, north-south and east-west. You build a pyramid, which is four-sided, perfectly oriented, east, west, north, south, it initiates energy flow within the pyramid, through the top, and off the pyramid. And we are, again, the first one in the world concluding that. Of course, everybody knows in Egypt that their pyramids are oriented to the north, south, east, west. Egyptologists, independent researchers, Hancock, Schock, and all the other, they also notice that perfect orientation. But they don't have explanation because they don't have an engineering minds. It's all about the energy and the energy amplification. And when you mentioned the ancients, you said, of course, for their flying vehicles. How do we know that they were flying? Well, there are some direct and some indirect proofs. Everybody knows about the Stonehenge. This is the most famous megalithic circle on the planet. But I'll just mention one element of Stonehenge. This is a latitude. Latitude goes from the equator, going up, northern and southern. Of course, longitude we have from Greenwich and to the right, to the left. This is not scientific. They could put it anywhere. Probably the most logical would be to put either through Cairo and Giza pyramids or Visoko and Bosnian pyramids. But latitude is something that is fixed. So you have equator, 0, then you have 19 degrees, you have 43 degrees Bosnian pyramids, and you have 51 degrees Stonehenge. Now, Stonehenge is a megalithic circle which originally consisted of 30 upright megaliths and 30 horizontal. 30 plus 30 is 60, and they would form a circle. A circle has 360 degrees, so 60 times 360 is 21,600. 216, 2 plus 1 plus 6, number 9. 9 is divine, the most important number. Very important number, 21,600. Now, when you take the latitude of Stonehenge, you have 51 degrees, 10 minutes, and 42 seconds. Just for fun, let's multiply those three numbers, 51 times 10 times 42, 21,340. So it is not 21,600. However, when we add 10 decimals of 1 second, and we multiply 51 times 10 times 42, comma, 3, 5, 2, 9, 4, 1, 1, 7, 6, 4. The result is 21,600. What does it tell me? It tells me that the ancient builders of Stonehenge, the English archaeologists are talking about the Neolithic culture building Stonehenge. Nonsense. They knew about the concept of circle, and they knew the geodesy. They knew about the existence of the equator, and they knew the coordinates so perfectly, better than Google today. You want to find the coordinate, you want to find where the Walmart is, you're going to get it in degrees, minutes, and seconds. Not 10 digits of 10 decimals of 1 second. So these are the abilities of the ancient builders. So yes, they knew our planet very well. They knew every corner. They knew every energy potent place. And yes, most probably, they were harvesting the energy of our planet to fly.
So, what do you think of the idea of these pyramids also being repositories for ancient technologies? You know, the so-called halls of records, because I think there are sources that describe it. For Giza, you know, Edgar Casey talked about that, but there are also sources that talk about it for China and other places. So, do you agree with that?
Well, in the case of Bosnian pyramids, during our archaeological work, and we have spent more than 600,000 hours digging, proving that we have huge complex above and below the ground. We are finding a lot of quartz crystal. And yes, quartz crystal, like I said, important to amplify the energy, to transform through piezoelectrical effect, but also to store the information. So far, we have not figured out if they did use quartz crystal for that. However, when it comes to Hall of Record, you and I probably know rather well that most probably under the Giza pyramids, under the Giza plateau, there is a network of tunnels, most probably two huge chambers, Hall of Record, that just before their civilization was destroyed, they moved all their knowledge, their library, that's actually the Hall of Record, under the Giza Plateau. There are some speculation that starting 1999, Dr. Zaki Havas with the team, it was total 5 of them, they were digging under the left palm of the Sphinx. Because there are stories in the Masonic documents from 1920s, 1930s, from 18th century, that there is a way, there is an entrance, the tunnels, and then you can get to the Hall of Record under the Sphinx. Of course, there is not only one entrance. One is, below the left palm. Another one is to the Sphinx itself, to the side, and another one is to the top of its head until 1936. Actually, that entrance was open, and then later on they cemented it. And it seems that in the head there is a little temple with the stone columns, the body, huge temple devoted to the sun, and there is also an entrance towards the Giza plateau. And there are also some stories, all we knew. I remember, Mike, in 1990s, the end of the 1990s, when internet just started, we had our Windows 95, and then we are getting information. So at that time, you could get any information. Today, with the algorithms, you get the info that Google or Wikipedia or MSN or whoever they offered you, and of course they falsify everything, the history and so on. But at that time, you could get to the correct information, and there was a report from the cameraman from this expedition that they did find the entrance under the left pole. And I remember going those times in 1990s, beginning of 2000s, you could see like the wooden pallets on the surface. So they are doing excavation. After 5 o'clock, when they closed the archaeological park at the Giza, they would in the evenings, they would excavate. It seems that according to this testimony, they got to the gate, which was closed with the huge megalith. He mentioned something 30 or more tons. And of course, they didn't know how to open that gate. And it seems that the secret was either the ultrasound or certain frequency of electromagnetic field, maybe the frequency of our planet. So probably they use the dynamite and they enter it. And this was the last article that I could read from this guy, and then after that I never heard about him. So probably he disappeared, he was gone. But there are stories that they did get to the Hall of the Record, but because the whole system would collapse, the religions, blah, 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 they did not want it to make it public. Is it true or not? I haven't seen it. It is very possible. The same goes for the, let's say, crystal skulls. They were in possession of some of the Maya shamans. They are probably either from Tibet, and some of them from the land of Atlantis, some of them even not from this planet. Unfortunately, whenever you have some major discovery, there are dark forces who got hold of them and they hide them. The same thing like with 19th century when the Smithsonian was established. The first goal was not to put the artifacts for the public to see, but to hide them. I remember reading the interview from 1884 Chicago Tribune. The journalist was talking to one of the head of the Smithsonian teams, and he was explaining how their mission was to destroy all the tumuli, to destroy as many mounds as possible, and to remove all the artifacts and archaeological material and send it to the Smithsonian, to under the ground, to the storages that would never see the daylight anymore. And part of these stories, of course, the skeletons, 13, 14 feet in length and so on. So unfortunately, you have those dark forces who are basically elites who want and who unfortunately successfully has been hiding information from us. But Egyptian pyramids, Maya pyramids, Bosnian, they are the cultural heritage of the planet. We, the people, deserve to know about our history and, like you mentioned several times, contacts with other beings, and there have been so many. Fortunately, there are still some artifacts and carvings in the walls that can prove their existence. So I would ask, the assistants to show some more slides, and we can go through them and discuss them.
Sure. Well, let's go to slide 8, which shows the LiDAR technology. And I just wanted to know how important that is for kind of understanding the height of the Bosnian pyramid and comparing that to the Egyptian.
Now, the Great Pyramid of Egypt is 146.6 meters in height. Khafre, the second largest, 3 meters less, or 10 feet less. The third one is the Red Pyramid, 105 meters. The next one is Mykerinos, 5 meters less. And then we have Bent Pyramid and so on. So over 100 meters, over 330 feet, 400, 450 feet, that's a huge. However, we knew that from the very beginning, what we could see, even though covered by solid vegetation, that was more than 220 meters, bigger than the Egyptian pyramids. But then the LiDAR technology, that's a new high-tech method. Basically, you fly either drone or a little plane, and with the laser machine, it shoots those rays to the ground, and they go in between the leaves and branches, hit the ground. So basically, they can give you the picture without the greenery, and this is very important. And then you can see the shapes. And thanks to LiDAR technology that we did, it cost us a lot of money. It was about $22,000 just for one day. But it gave us excellent idea. Once you remove the layer of greenery, once you remove the houses that were built at the base of Bosnian pyramids, you got the true height and the shape of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. So what we can see on this illustration, we can see in front of us, a little bit to the right, is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. We can see the corner that goes all the way to the bottom of the valley. And then you go to the left, this is the eastern slope, and then again the corner goes up. So this is the eastern slope. And then when you draw the line from the bottom of this right side as the northern, the height is 368 meters. That's 2.5 times higher than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Of course, this is history changing. The biggest, the oldest, the best orientation, best quality concrete, and the beauty of what we do, everything is measurable. So it is totally irrelevant that elites don't want to see this discovery because of the age, because of this monumental dimension, because of the fact that it is not run by the government, by departments of archaeology, universities, museums, but by non-profit, NGO. And we really don't care about what people are saying because they cannot order us what to say and what not to say, like in all other cases. Remember that woman, poor woman doing Mayan civilization in Belize? She did radiocarbon dating, applying, all the archaeological scientific methodology. It was 2,500 years older, and what happened? They fired her. Now we are coming to a beautiful example of the Western Honduras. This is the Mayan city of Copan, one of my favorite, its most artistic city. The picture is showing, I took this picture probably 15, 20 years ago, of the biggest pyramid in Copan. And you can see those trees basically growing directly from the pyramid, from those stairs. And because the roots were destroying the stones, then archaeologists from Honduras and the US started reconstruction, they were clearing the roots. And let's see the next slide. On the next slide, we can see that basically they open the central part of this side, and inside the pyramid, they discovered 700 years old temple. Due to its rose color, they name it Rosalila Temple. Since it was perfectly preserved, they built a replica, life-size replica, at the site. So now it serves as the museum. But look at inside, look at this temple. The entrance, above the entrance, there is a symbol for our planet. No, go back to it. There is a symbol for our planet, and above the white one is the symbol for the Hunab Ku, for the center of the galaxy, Milky Way. So we have two symbols, and to the left and to the right, rather small, there are two vehicles. Let's go to the next slide. Now, so we have the entrance. This is the life-size replica. We have the symbol for our planet just above the entrance. And besides this handsome guy with a hat, upper left and upper right, we can see vehicles. You see those white, rounded, that's one vehicle. To the left, red wheels and white wheels, and we can see the body of the vehicle, and the green color is the cabin. To the left and the one to the right. Wheels, body of the vehicle, cabin, and let's see what's inside the cabin. If we look closely inside the cabin, the central upper part, there is a profile of Maya. We can see the eye, we can see the big nose that they had, we can see the big cheek. So the Maya is sitting in the cabin of the vehicle. Now, the Rosalila temple is at least 2,000 years old. How is it possible that we had vehicles in the jungles of Honduras? No proofs of vehicles in the jungle. But when we see the symbolism, those two vehicles are in between the symbol for our planet and the symbol for the center of galaxy. Does it mean that those vehicles are moving between our planet and our galaxy? And really, how did they get such a vast knowledge of astronomy? You know that Maya civilization had more than one calendar. Our civilization, one. All the previous ones, one. They had not one, not two, 21 calendars. The first two, the major calendars that we know a little bit about, one is Tzolkin, 260 days, another one is solar calendar, 365 days. And they align every 52 years. Why is that important? Every 52 years, the star system of Pleiades goes from its most southern point on the night sky to the northern and then coming back. 52 years. How did Maya know about this cycle? The Pleiades are mentioned in many oral traditions. Navajo Indians, the US soil, Anasazis, again, southern US, Hopi, Pueblo, Maya, all the way to India. And not only that, halfway are the Bosnian pyramids. 4 of our pyramids match perfectly 4 out of 7 stars of Pleiades, 7 sisters of Pleiades. So here the story is not about the Orion belt, it's about the Pleiades. The Maya were all about the Pleiades. The next thing about the Pleiades, you go to the Maya city Uxmal. It's in Yucatan, in eastern Mexico. Uxmal has beautiful buildings. One of them, when the Spaniards came, They were so impressed, they call it the governor's palace. Of course, the Spaniards could know better. The Maya civilization did not have governors, but it was so impressive for them. Now, all the city is on the X north-south, all but one structure, this palace of the governor, which is 19 degrees move. Well, 19 degrees, then you go to 20 kilometers away, there is also a temple which is 19 degrees move, and it shows the line of our planet Venus in its most southern position. And on the Palace of Governor, we have numbers 5 to 8, 5 to 8, 5 to 8, the whole northeastern and northwestern facade of this wall. Why the Venus was so important for them? Well, it seems that it had to do something with the very advanced life form. Obviously, because of high temperatures, not like ours, Homo sapiens, but they mention so many times planet Venus. Why 5, why 8? Planet Venus is visible during the night for 236 days from Mesoamerica. And then for 90 days, it's hidden behind the sun. And then for 250 days, it's called the morning star. It's again visible. And then for 80 days, it's not visible. And that's exactly 584 days. 584. 5 cycluses. 5 times 584 is 2,920. 8-hour years. 8 times 365 is 2,920. That's the reason 5 to 8, 5 to 8. Dresden Codex, one of the Maya codexes, next to the symbol for planet Venus and symbol for god Chak, there are 4 numbers: 236, 80, 250, and 8. Astronomy. One of the 21 Mayan calendars is the long count, 5,125 years. 5 long counts is 25,600 and 770 years. And it seems that our star system, which moves within galaxy Milky Way, takes almost 26,000 years for one full circle. How did Maya civilization know about this full circle of our star system? How did they know about the sun and the earth, about Mercury and Venus being planets, and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn? And they describe it in details. How did they know about the star system? How do they know that those 7 stars are part of the same star system? We have thousands and thousands of stars visible, and they're talking about one star system. You go to their observatories, to Mayapan, to Chichen Itza, Caracol, the best known. At the first floor, they have 4 entrances, 4 windows, perfectly pointing to east, west, north, and south, to cardinal points, with less than 1 degree error. The second floor, we have 2 windows, one looking at the star system Pleiades at the most southern position, another one at the most northern position. Beautiful. Let's go back to slides. This is not where the miracles are ending.
Well, just because we are kind of running out of time, I wanted to jump to slide 16 that shows us the Palencia Cathedral depictions of what looks like an alien and
Yes.
predator. So you want to tell us about that, because that's quite an amazing carving.
Yes. Now, central part of Spain, the little village of Palencia, 5,000 people today. There is a huge cathedral built in 14th century. At that time, less than 1,000 people. Why would somebody build such a huge cathedral in a small village? And then there are 3 pyramids. Unfortunately, one has been destroyed 20 years back, but two are still there, and their height 72 meters, exactly like El Mirador. And their layout exactly the same like Egyptian pyramids at the Giza Plateau, like Teotihuacan, and so on. When you draw the line, perfect north-south, from the center of the pyramid to cathedral, that's north-south, so it's pointing to this cathedral. On this cathedral, there is an entrance. Now, the carvings on entrance below this little like pyramid lines, below we can see representation of humanity. We can see the kings and the royals and the priesthood and the farmers and the regular people and children and women and so on. So it's humanity. And above, we can see those two beings with elongated heads. But they are hominids because they have two hands and two legs. But look at their backs. This is not human back. And I would say that the entity to the left is most probably male, and the one to the right is most probably female. It's just my feeling. What is the message? We are ruling humanity. We built the pyramids going to the north. So, there was a movie a few years back, Predator versus Alien. So if one of them, if the alien is here, I was thinking, okay, do we have a proof for the other one, for the Predator? And sure enough, while in Mexico, in the state of Jalisco, in the town of Ojuelos, people who were inviting me to come there showed me amazing skull. Let's see if we can find this skull. The slides. Look at this skull in my hand. Look at, yes, there you go. So it seems to me that this is not the skull of any known being throughout our evolution, but most probably the visitor, and if not visitor, then the being that's been present for a very long time, but invisible to us. So when we look what we have in the movies, I think that's the next slide or the slide before. Yeah, there you go. So the person to the right basically has, exactly the same skull like what I was keeping in my hands. And that was obviously, the organic material, that was a bone. It was not like a plastic rental. It was a bone that they discovered in the caves over there in Ojuelo State. So now we are finding the actual proofs of existence of different beings. They might be extraterrestrials, but also bear in mind that during 1950s, when US patented technology to build the tunnels under the ground, and they were producing more than 2,000 degrees Celsius, they were going through the rocks, literally, melting them, and they were getting the glass-like walls. While they were doing that under the ground, and the whole of the US are actually in this network of the underground tunnels, built from 1950s, 60s, 70s, and so on. At two places, they discovered underground huge caves with beings. They were hanging from the ceilings. And they were thinking they're probably 1,000,000 years old. So they were there in hibernating state, like bats. And then it caused me thinking, hey, we think that we are the first advanced civilization on this planet, which exists, as they are telling us, 4.5 billion years. What was happening for hundreds of millions of years? Or even the last 100,000 years? We know almost nothing. It seems that many different beings, many civilizations, some of them very advanced, were either on the surface of this planet or under the ground. And for sure, some of them are having abilities to fly. And of course, we have been visiting so many times. If prominent people, like let's say Canadian Minister of Defense in 2 terms, goes public and say, while cooperating with the US Army, I was able to see two specimens, two different species, different civilizations, not just one ETs, but two different ETs. The question is, how many of them have visited us?
Well, this is really fascinating because the Predator movies, the Predator Alien franchise is something that is very popular. But according to the information you got, it's based on fact that the evidence is there that that there were these ferocious insectoid and reptilian races that have been battling on the Earth's surface, or at least it's been known to the inhabitants of the Earth for many thousands of years. Now, just in the interest of time, I just wanted to kind of like show, just go through slides 20 to 28 that show more pictures of aliens in Mexico, and I just wanted you to kind of like comment. I mean, are these real? I know that's very controversial, so if we just go through those slides and you can comment on them.
In the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, the villagers of the place called Ojuelos in Jalisco, in Mexican state, it's a middle Mexican state, they were finding intriguing artifacts. But it was not until the late 1990s when Dr. Pablo, his medical doctor, started working in this village. And then talking to the villagers, he realized there were some intriguing artifacts showing beings that were not humans. And he started working very systematically on these artifacts, talking to the people who found them. And the story goes like this. In the mid of the last century, a cave was discovered on the top of this mountain range. And in the cave, thousands of artifacts made from two very hard materials, granite and hard volcanic stone, of different sizes, showing people with elongated skulls and elongated eyes. For some people, they are grays, but maybe a little bit different than the grays. So we can go through those slides if, yes. So this is a very fine example, elongated skull, elongated eyes, but we do have a nose and a mouth, and we have 2 hands and 4 fingers. And the next one, okay, here, this one is from granite. This one is so important because you see on this forehead, we have 7, 8 rows of interesting writings. That's not something that we have from the history which has been recorded. So if we are able to decipher it, I think that we would find out very intriguing stories. But the nose is a little bit different than ours. This one also, you can see the same presentation of the nose. Yes, on the next one. Eyes again. Okay, we can go to the next one. The same thing. Sometimes they were using those artifacts for the practical purposes, as the knives or the kitchens and so on. Sometimes they were simply beautiful artistic work. And the next one, yes. Now, interesting thing is, of course, what we see is a 2D, but there were in most cases 3D. We can see presentations of different beings, front, back, sides. Here we can see 2 holes. Obviously, somebody was wearing it around his or her neck. And look to the left and to the right. We can see persons. It's sometimes of the helmet, cosmic helmet, and the poses like during the space travel. The one to the left and the one to the right. And look at this, some type of the animal above the eyes. Is it their domestic animal? Is it their kind of dog that they had? Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, again, 3D art. On the top, there are several different beings, and you see this bumpy thing that's actually the spaceship. It's rounded on three different levels. I had all this in my hands. When they've been calling me 25 years ago, 20 years ago. So finally I went there 15 years ago. We organized the conference, and all the locals brought all these pieces, and we were discussing about it, and I asked them, if they try to send them to Institute for the Anthropology in Mexico City. That's the major institution that's been in charge of all the archaeological excavation in the last more than 100 years. They said yes. They sent 4 pieces. They never returned them. They asked them to try to date them and explain them what was it about, and the answer was they were all fake. Now here, obviously, we have knife, and the person is, the long ways. Now, they were saying it was fake. We are having thousands of them. Now look at this guy. This guy, in his mouth, he's holding some type of the instrument. For me, that's a communication device. They are communicating with somebody. And look at the central right part, the circle. We can see again the spaceship and most probably the planet. And then there are a few more symbols. So they are telling us the story. They were coming from another planet. They stayed on this planet when? Well, with the artifacts, they discovered a lot of bones and organic materials. And they did some radiocarbon dating 16,000 years, deep in the Paleolithic times. So obviously there was an episode in the central Mexico. Look at this guy also. Beautiful, elongated eyes, big head, some type of the cap on this head. And because of the ornaments, this person was probably important part of the society. But the nose, they are always depicted the same. It is not our nose.
You would say that at least some of them are genuine. I know there's a lot of controversy. You mentioned it, but it's very important because this again is evidence, physical evidence of an ancient alien presence on Earth. So yeah, you have one there, and
I have one here. So when I look at it, this is granite. When I look at the lines, where is my camera? Gosh, let me see. Camera. Okay, look at this guy. Oh, it's scary. But when I look at the lines are all the same depth. When you have the same depth, it means that you don't carve it manually, but you use some type of machine or laser type instrument. And it's a granite. I mean, you know what it takes to make such small and deep line in granite? You have to have technology, 16,000 years. Now, who would make thousands and thousands and thousands of fake artifacts? For what reason? Well, at that time, 15 years back or 12 years back, they asked me to help them sell those artifacts on a US market. I said, I'm not in that business. I don't, buy or sell. I don't do the black market. And I wish that you build a museum here, a private museum, and you keep them on display. You show one of the episodes in, in the life of our planet. That would be ideal. However, people are poor there and they started selling. And then if you go on eBay, you type down the artifacts from Ojuelos or from Jalisco or ET artifacts from Mexico, you will find a lot of them. And that's a shame. They sell them for $100 or 500 or 10,000. Again, this is the cultural heritage planet, and they're going to end up in the private collection, and the world will not here for them anymore.
It's a shame, and you mentioned already that the Smithsonian Institute has been covering up a lot of ancient artifacts. So it sounds like what was discovered in Mexico is being kind of like sidelined in another way to kind of like flood the market with what might be a combination of genuine and fake artifacts, so that people don't accept it as
I
evidence
don't know
of
if there are
ancient
any
aliens.
fake. I don't know if there are any fake. What I saw there, granite. Nobody can really convince me that you can make so many fake artifacts in granite. You cannot. It's a huge amount of work and advanced technology. Somebody made it. You know, the other day I was in Chicago at the Global Pyramid Conference and I brought this artifact there. And after my lecture, I let, there are like a few people in the room left, I let them keep this artifact in their hands. I never do that because for me it's a little bit cold. I can see that it is not of the human origin. And one person took it, a lady, and after 3 seconds said, I feel a pain in my ear. And then later on in 15 minutes said, can I have it again? I said, yes, here. Then she kept it, this time for a few minutes. And this is what she told me. She said, for the last 10 years, I cannot hear on my right ear. And the first thing that I felt was this pain, this flash, like a flash, hitting my right ear. So, I was scared a little bit. But then I got the message that I should have it again. And she did have it, and she said, right now I can hear on both of my ears. But this is what I heard from her. That was rather intriguing.
Well, that does suggest that there is a special quality to those artifacts. So, where do people go, Dr. Osmanagich, to find out about your tours, to buy your books, and what do you have coming up that might be of interest to my audience?
Yes. Well, of course, we have our Instagram, Dr. Sam Osmanagich, and we have our couple of Facebook pages, Bosnian Pyramids, and also my name, Dr. Sam Osmanagich. And our website, one of them is bosnianpyramids.ba, not com, but ba, that's Bosnian, bosnianpyramids.ba. And when it comes to visitations, this project is unique. We don't receive a penny from the government, so we had to be creative. It's very active, a lot of volunteers. We have 80 employees in our non-profit foundation, and we got finance through the tourists. We charge for the tunnels, we charge for the Sun Pyramid, sell a few souvenirs, books, and so on. We built a beautiful park, which is free of charge, where we have our festivals and concerts and yoga and meditations and recreation. We built tennis courts together with Novak Djokovic, the best tennis player ever. And today we played volleyball and basketball. So we have a lot of fun here. People love to come here. No discrimination, energy of the tunnels, healing experiences. We built something really special. We open 365 days a year. And I'm going to finish with this. In 2018, we had 40,000 visitors. 2019, 50,000. 2020, 76,000. 2021, 135,000. 2022, 155,000. And this year, we expect 200,000. More and more people are coming. They enjoy, they love, they come back, they bring their friends, family. Everybody is welcome. So find out about us, and then I guess you'll be willing to come.
Well, thank you. I mean, you're truly a hero for humanity in bringing out all of this ancient tech or information that has been hidden in the pyramids and presenting all of the data to people so that we can learn about our history. Because I do believe, and I'm sure you do too, that it's only through discovering our true history that we can become empowered as a species and join galactic civilizations as equals. So thank you for all you do, Dr. Osmanagich.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Sala.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Sala. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Sala. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.